Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of or another video, in fact, where I, Tantra Tile, look into the aspects of different things within Islam and try to debunk or explain. Today's video, we will talk about, as promised, we will talk about the aspects of fasting or a fast or vrat and what do both entails and is one connected to the other, right? Many a times we see and we observe that a lot of people are performing a fast and they say they're doing Shiva fast, they're doing Shivatri fast, they're doing a Durga fast, they're doing a Naratam fast, Hanuman Jayanti fast, and so forth. And literally, are they just, what it is they're doing? Are there other, what are the entailments? What are the details? Are there anything prescribed for those fasts that they're doing? And is it actually a fast or is it something, right, under the disguise of the name a fast, right? Do they know what they are doing, right? How they know and how was it prescribed, who said what, and all these different things. But many a times we see people performing a fast and they're actually performing a vrat. So you may asking, what is a vrat? What is a fast? So when you look up a fast or fasting, fast or fasting means to abstain or stay away. And fasting, right, to fast or fasting has its benefits, medical benefits, and all these different things. There are different philosophies where within Christianity and so forth, they perform a fast by not doing certain things, not eating certain things, and so forth, by restricting the body physically in that aspect to become desirable unto God. Now, that itself, that aspect or that observance is observed and practiced throughout different aspects of faith. The Orishas, spiritual Baptists, um, Islam, and Hinduism, be it Shivat, Shakta, or Vaishnava. It is actually performed in certain aspects. Right? I don't think many people may know that it does and may know what they're doing. There are some people that truly do know, and there are some that don't. And for those who may not truly understand, this is where this video would enlighten them and would educate them to what it is. So, a fast means, or to be fasting, is to abstain from something. Now, abstaining does not necessarily mean body wise, it just mean food. It can be liquid, it could be alcohol, it could be, it could be sex, it could be tobacco, smoking, whatever. So there are different things, up to music, right? So we have those particular aspects. We have now, let us look into that aspect of a vrat. A vrat, when you look it up, vrat means in Sanskrit, meaning translated, means a vow. It means a promise to perform, to observe. Now, a vrat does include a fast or fasting, so abstaining from certain things, and there are different details of what one will abstain from and so forth in the different types of ruts and according to the type of ruts they have, because there are different types and according and all this. And we will go into details of the different types of ruts, all right, for who, for when, for why, and so forth. We will go into details of those later on into the video, all right. It does include a fasting, but also it includes other stuff. It includes the aspect of performing a sadhana or devotion in this aspect. So we're looking at getting up in the morning, offering jal, like they're doing japam and these kind of things, meditating and little simple but everyday things that comes together within a vrat. And based on the type of vrat you're performing and the prescribed rituals that you do within a vrat, it will bring you closer to your city. It will bring you closer to your goal. It will bring you closer to your darshan, to the blessing that you have sorted from the particular deity or deities or different gods or goddesses. So Vrat encompasses more stuff. So, but not just in Hinduism, we have that. We have that in different aspects of worship. The Orishas have their aspect. Spiritual Baptists have their one, is what is talking about. They go around and mourn. So they have them one, and there's where they lock themselves away from the world, no water, no food, and they go down in prayer and devotion and in the rites and the rituals that they do that is prescribed to them, to the person who's going to do this by the elders and at what particular day and whatever. And they come out enlightened, calm, subtle, more focused, whatever. A Vrat also does that for you. Now we have within the Christian aspects and different diversities of Christian. So the Catholics will have one where from Ash Wednesday, which is actually a carnival, they have that aspect of Lenten season going up to Good Friday. So within that Lenten season, a lot of people would abstain from red meat, poultry, who mostly eat fish. Some people go vegetarian for that aspect, away from the alcohol, try their best to not smoke as much, be more proactive in spiritual ventures as going to church and whatever. So you have that splinterism. Um, Pentecostals or evangelists would do that, 40 days straight. They will go up to a retreat. So they're going somewhere near the river, they're going up on the mountains in a cabin, and them going to fast for that 40 days, little to no water, no food, and they will fast with that to become out more enlightened, more strengthened within their spirituality, whatever, as they upgrade and as they move up within Christianity and so forth, building their faith and so forth. So we in Hinduism, be it Vaishnava, Shivait, or Shakta, is no different. Vrat works for us in the same concept. No different, it works for us in the same concept once it is done in its prescribed way. So as I said, a Vrat will have the aspect of fasting. It has the aspect of it will have the aspect of a particular deity depending, and then the type of Vrats that you're doing. And based on the type of Vrats, there's different regulations, different rules for eating habits and so forth that one can perform and observe. Right? So it has, as we see in Agni Puran, we see in the Nara Puran, and we see in the Shiv Puran, all the different Purans, in fact. All we see it in the Rig Veda, they speak about Vrat very intensely. In the different Purans, the different Agamas, the Upanishads, right, even in Manusmriti, they do emphasize on observing a Vrat. Because when you perform a Vrat, you're performing far more than just a fast. And I'm not knocking down those who just observe fast by just abstaining, because they are those unknowing to themselves that you're performing a Vrat and not a fast. You are fasting from food, you're fasting from meat, you're fasting from alcohol and sex, but also you're getting up. Be it is 7 days you're fasting for, that 21 days for your puja and whatever. You are getting up, offering your jal, you're picking flowers, you're doing your devotion, you're doing japam. You are literally performing a Vrat. Now you may not know what the Vrat is. It may not be prescribed or describe to you what exactly whatever. Or you're fasting for you're fasting for a particular situation that you need to fix in your life, and you are advised by the Purohit, the Pusari, the Pandit, the Pandita, the head guru, the head pujarin, whoever, the priest, whoever it is, as advised you spiritually, to fast and do this thing, and actually you're actually performing a Vrat. If you did not know, you're literally performing a Vrat. Yes, a Vrat has more merits than a fast. A fast will, yes, because of that self-discipline, body, physical discipline of not eating and of sweets and sugars and this and that. Yes, you will gain blessings and siddhis for that. But when you perform a Vrat that has much more attached to it, you reach much closer with a little more ease and more victory to what your goal is. So you have that aspect. So as I said, there are different types of Vrat, and we will go into those now as I'm going through my research here. All right, you have different Vrats, and the different Puran speaks about three in particular, and these are compound aspects of Vrat. So you have the um, what you call you have the Vashik the vast the what you have the Vashika. The Vashika pro it is aspect is that aspect of speech. So speaking hymns and recitations of mantras and so forth. You have Manas Vrat. Vrat is that is a fasting of the mind. So you're just meditating on these things and you're keeping your minds clear. Then you have the Kaikat, the Kaika Vrat. The Kaika Vrat, right? That is more or less of the body. So this is where you abstain from food, you abstain from water and so forth. So you have those. So there it is. Those three compound aspects of Vrats is broken down further now into much more different types of Vrats and into different observance that you would follow. Simple aspect, no, most commonly known to most Hindus. We are looking at the aspect of I'm doing a no salt, what local terms, no salt Vrat, meaning they're not eating food, no food at all, no food whatsoever. They may drink some water, so right, so that right, and so on. So you have that aspect of no food. Then you have um no water Vrat, where now based on that one itself, it goes both ways. Right, a water Vrat means up to a point that you may only be drinking water, no food, no solids, and that is you go that far that you are not drinking water. Your body is not consuming water, so you're restricting the body from anything. The only thing it might consume is air because you're breathing. And that is a strict Vrat, a strict fast and observance. So you have that, right? And that is actually called a Nirjal Vrat, right? So you have different types of Vrats broken down now, where you have Vrats of what we call expectation. Vrats of expectation will be considered, you know, those are called circumvrat. Circumvrat is where you're doing a vrat for you to gain something. You have there's an objective to why you're doing your vrat. You're doing that observance of following a vrat to the pujas and the sadhanas to gain a particular city. Then you have nishkamvrat without anything. That this is where you have no attachment to the world. This is where these yogis and these different as the Naga sadhus or the agoric tantric sadhus and them, they just do devotion. They're looking at this as moksha in this aspect, but they have no attachment to the world. So they're just doing what they need to do. Right? You have what is called regular vrat. You have types of that are regular and incidental. Regular vrats of duties are performed according to Varnata class, for instance, celibacy and so forth. Incidental vrats are performed only on specific tithis or particular time frames. So we're looking at Ganesh Chaturthi, Naratam, we're looking at Hanuman Jayanti, Deepavali, and so forth. Then we have vrats according to need, right? Where you do penance, you do duty and voluntary. So based on those needs of things, right? Activities that you need to carry out a code of conduct, right? Then you have vrats according to time. According to time, now these would be aspects of those who are following the lunar days, the bright half of the bright half of the moon, which is more or less within full moon, and then you have the dark half, which is new moon. So the different aspect, the different ekadasis and so forth of those particular lunar days, you have different vrats, and each month, each lunar or calendar month within the Hindu calendar, every calendar month within Hindu calendar has that. So the first, okay, so the Ekadasi, which is the first day, depending if it's the bright half or the second half for each month, will pertain and will give a different type of vrat to perform to a different deity. Plus, based on those particular days, performing that vrat of fasting and different devotions will bring different cities. It could be wealth, it could be health, it could be wanting progeny, children, building a house, acquiring money, whatever. So there are different aspects when you observe the different verse for those for the lunar, for the dark half of the month, the bright half of the month, in the different calendar months. From the Ekadasi goes straight up, right? You have that aspect, right? Then you have Vrats according to different deities. Again, we go as in Deepavali coming up, so you're doing a Lakshmi Vrat, and Deepavali would give you prescription to do what type of Vrat to observe for Deepavali. Shivatri is next year. Well, actually, Kal Bhairava Jayanti is coming up, so you have the Vrat for Kal Bhairava. There will be a advice based on the pundits or the pujaris or whoever that you're giving you advice. They would prescribe the different Vrats to do for according to Puranic, Vedic, or Agamic aspects of doctrines. They will give you to prescribe Vrat to perform for Kal Bhairava. Shivatri is next year. Also, again, from the Shiv Puran and so forth on different agamas and such, your guru will give you the type of vrat that child performs to this particular vrat, work along with this fast, leading up to Shivatri. Naratam, the same thing. So you have that aspect of the vrat depending on who the deity is. So what you can do, not each deity or each god or goddess says the vrat will be same, meaning where the one may allow you to eat at a particular time, the other will restrict you from eating at all. And then when one would allow you to eat a particular type of food cooked in a particular manner, it will vary to different deities. So you have those aspects. So to say that the same vrat or fast wouldn't work for all, I'll have to say that that is not necessarily true. They are more or less a universal aspect or a basic or beginner aspect of just stemming from the most typical meat, fish, alcohol, sex, and whatever. And your fasting, your soya fasting, and whatever. So it have a basic aspect of a fruit that is universal that you could do. But when you go more in depth to where the deity or the you're going into the more than what the deity is concerned, what the God of God is concerned, and you observe where their hymns, their mantras they're dropping, there it goes more diverse, it goes more intricate, and there where your cities and your darshan comes into play to how much you will gather to yourself or how much you will gain to yourself. So you have that. You have different vrats also that is based on men and women, meaning there are certain vrats that only women can perform. There are certain vrats that only men can perform. Um, from hearing the stories and even looking back, you would look at a wife being the homemaker in this aspect. She's home back in the old days. She's the homemaker. She gets up to cook the food. The husband prepares the food. Sends the husband goes to work. She sees about the children feeding if they have animals, whatever. She will get up and she will go bathe, pick up flowers, right? While the food is cooking or something like that, depending on what she's making, and she will go offer her gel. Right? She will offer her gel and offer her flowers and whoever come back to arati to the Devis, and they just do the arati of she husband, touch his feet as honoring him as the head of the household and husband and so forth. Honoring the aspect of Mahadev or Narayan in him, and he acknowledging the Parvati in her and the Lakshmi in her. So, or the Radha, and she acknowledging the Krishna in him. And he goes, she would not eat. She would see that the children has food. She feed the animals, get them their water and whatever. But she would not touch food. She cooks the food to the point she knows what she's doing. She doesn't have to taste it because the amount of years she's been doing it, she's been trained and groomed by her mother and so forth before she came to become a wife. Because before a wife and then becomes a mother to know what she's doing. And she will not eat. The husband will come back. He will come back. He will change his clothes, go take a bath, and even she may not even eat when he is eating. Now there are some will eat because why? It will be more or less should be welcome to eat while he's eating. But there are some wife will not even eat when the husband come back. It's not because she's fearful, but that aspect of respect or whatever and devotion towards him, because while he is going and toiling in the hot sun, tarrying day and night or whatever, to bring home the money, to bring home equity, to take care of the family, to buy food, clothes, whatever necessities that they need. It's only when he done eat whatever else is back in his plate, right? And I'm not belittling women here, I'm showing because my grandmother did it. My grandmother did it. I saw my mother did it. Is that when my father was already he had already eaten, she would take food, add extra food, and depending on how much he leave back, and it was enough for her, she would just eat what he leave back. Or she would add more to that, and she would eat of it, and then even to on top of that, she's feeding us the children. So you have that aspect, and that goes to far to show the loyalty, the devotion she has as a wife. Not to say she was fearful. So that type of vrat and observing of fast and devotion was so strict. That is because of that. The majority of us are here where we are. Our fathers were able to attain, to able to work, to build, to give us the life that we have now. To send us to school, we have the education to where the luxuries we have. So it started somewhere. She was the backbone to it. We are just small as the final product it. Now we perform the same thing in this aspect as both parents, or just still mothers still doing it, or single fathers doing it now, because we have single fathers and we do have single mothers, and they perform the same type of rut in that aspect and that thing towards the children who are going to school. So there are ruts that only men can perform, certain ruts that men will only be able to perform, and only ruts that only um, women can perform. So we have that. So I hope that you know explains that aspect, explains to how diverse Avrat can be and how it is. So Avrat, as we go back, is it does include a fast. Not to say fasting by itself is not meritable, it is meritable. But Avrat that encompasses a fast of not eating or only eating something, one thing in particular, right? Restricting the body. And then doing japam, doing meditation, doing arti, doing a sadhana or devotion, offering jal, doing all these things for a period of time straight, 9 days straight, 7 days straight, 9 days straight, or intervals. So every week you fast Wednesday to Friday, and those 3 days you are doing devotion, because those are the 3 days you fast. All right, depending on how you do it. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you fast. Those are the 3 days you fast in the week, in your personal time for your week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you do the different, all right, fasting. Now, also, there are different vrats for different days of the week also. So besides you have different gods and goddesses that governs, like the Nagaras and so forth, Mother Durga, Mahadeva, and Mother Kali, Saraswati, and so forth. You have them governing the different days of the weeks. That is why you try to perform the different the different pujans and the different sadhanas for those particular days that these deities perform, because you want to be able to, you want to be able to harness and harvest the darshan of them, because that is when their energies is most high. They are different vrats for the particular days that are prescribed that a Hindu can do. Right? For each day of the week, from Monday straight to Sunday, there are also those. Right? So as again, if you're looking to find out the different types, you have the different Purans, the Shiv Puran, you have the Vishnu Puran, the Devi Bhagavatam, you have the Gita and so forth. So you have the different agamas, which is also known as known as tantras, right? Even the Rig Veda goes into description of, talks about different types of what, and gives you an idea of what a vrat is, and whether a broad basis idea. But the agamas, the Upanishads and so forth, and the Purans goes in more detail. One of those main one would be the Nara Puran, that goes into details of looking at the Ekadasi Vrats and so forth, new moon, full moon, and so forth. The Agni does has this aspect. The Shiv Puran will talk from Mahadev, and different Devi Bhagavatam go for Devi, for Ma, and so forth. So you have those for particular deities, but then you have those at the Agni, and the nard will go for different deities depending on whatever and so forth, right? And especially if you're of those who follow the 16 samskaras, the 16 steps within one's life from birth straight until death, right? Those vrats and whatever are very potent, very, very, very energetic, very strong, and they bring cities once they are done to the prescribed aspect, right? So I hope this video has more or less educating you what a fast is, what a vrat and how far vrat can go, the benefits and so forth and such, and once they're done properly, and the different parts, the different aspects of faith that will observe something like that. So seeing that I did fast versus a vrat, it is only, seeing that we talk about fasting, it is only natural that the next video that comes after this, I go into the different types of food, what we may consider, what the food that we eat when we are fasting and so forth, and what we eat when we're not fasting for those who are not vegetarians or vegans. So food will fall, just like you have the three gunas, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Food will fall into that also. Yeah, sattvic food, yeah, rajasic food, and yeah, tamasic food. What we do not, a lot of us do not know, under sattvic aspects, right, under what we consider fasting food, there are certain items that are vegetarian in nature, but it is rajasic, and tamasic also. It is rajasic. It is vegetarian, but it is tamasic and rajasic in nature, right? So when I will do that particular video next, where you know the different types of foods when we're fasting, when we're not fasting, what is considered sattvic food, what is considered rajasic food, what is considered tamasic food, the details, the distinctions, and whatever the explanations, and look into what we know is vegetarian, but may still fall under rajasic category and tamasic that we may not know, that we may be consuming while we are fasting, and it is prohibited. And look at where different Purans speaks about certain aspects of vegetation that we don't eat while we're fasting, because why? It is prohibited by that particular deity, that particular god or goddess, and what are the chain reactions when we eat those different things. So the other video will be of that, of tamasic, of Ayurvedic food, or what we eat when we're fasting and what we don't eat when we're not fasting, and what we think may be fasting food, but yet it is not fasting food. It is something that is not prescribed and recommended that we eat, but yet we are saying it because we do not know. We are not advised. The persons that are advising us and guiding us, they may not even know. Right? And it's not a bad thing. It's not because they are uneducated, it's that they just don't know. So I hope that in that video I'll be able to educate people about that aspect. So please join me for that video that will be coming out soon. So Sitaram Fanakam everyone. Thank you again for your time.